Hey, 16th of October, 2024. That is the cutest dog we've ever had, isn't he?
He is just the best. Yellow is really his colour, I think.
I think that might be why I chose the mustard tiles.
Because it suits George.
Yeah. Castleford Basin.
Well, this is the cut, isn't it? Castleford cut, above the lock.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm saying Castleford Basin, Castleford cut. Yeah.
I quite like it though.
It's quite a nice little area. It's a bit of a walk over to Castleford itself.
I don't know, I didn't do it.
Yeah, no, you didn't even go.
The canal area is quite industrial, and I love seeing these remnants from industry gone by, like this coal chute. And so many things like this just seem to get taken away. So I really like it when you see the remnants that have been left.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're used to having big shipping traffic because the Aire and Calder is really wide.
Yeah, you really get the feeling that there was supposed to be two boats on here passing, like two lighters that were passing each other like two narrowboats and having some difficulty moving. But the wide beams and us, no problem.
You could spin around quite happily in here. And lots of visitor moorings, lots of permanent moorings. And I think there's boats facilities too.
I do remember there not being much in the way of cafes.
So you had to walk to Castleford.
Well, I had to walk to Castleford, and then I'm looking for... eventually what I found in Castleford was the Aldi. Yeah, it's... I was routinely there during the time in which everything was closed.
I love the difference between boatyards and marinas, and boatyards that just kind seem to have every single type and kind of boat in every single state in them, and then marinas that are very shiny and,
Yeah, and sometimes they're the exact opposite of shiny.
Yeah. Oh, I like this red boat.
Yeah, it goes faster.
Because it's red.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
It might go faster down, but it does look like it's having a little bit of...
That's one thing I really like about the river navigations is all the different variety of boats you see. So this is the flood lock. I remember the first time we came through here, I thought, what is this? Because it's kind of triangular in shape, and I couldn't work it out. But today we got lucky and the floodgates are open, so that means the river's not in flood or even slightly high, and we can proceed to the four-way junction.
Four-way junction, but one of those four ways you really don't want to go down.
Yeah, goes to the weir. Straight across is to...
Well, that's to Huddersfield, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, eventually.
Straight across is, to the Calder and Hebble, and right is where we're going to Leeds. Yeah, today. But we'll be coming back to go up to the Calder and Hebble, up to the Huddersfield canals.
And you could turn left and go to Castleford the quick way.
Like the other boat that got stuck on the weir.
Yeah. Don't recommend it, but you could do it, I suppose.
I always fancy living by a lock, but then I don't think I could face the stress of, because quite often you walk past locks and boaters are not necessarily doing the right thing. So I think I'd find it quite stressful if I saw any semi-dangerous behaviour going on.
I wouldn't worry too much about the big shipping lock area and everything, right? But it's like there'd always be, because at least they're electronic locks and they've got the big, instructions as to how to do it if they're not being operated by someone else.
Yeah.
But
it's like when
if we were living by a mechanical lock, I think I'd be outside all the time, helping people not get themselves killed.
Supervising.
Trying not to...
interfere.
Yeah, trying not to interfere, trying not to mansplain, trying not to supervise.
Just keeping a cautious eye.
Just making sure.
A hyper-vigilant eye, should we call it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're flowing against the water now. We're going up towards Leeds.
Making a pretty good clip of it.
With the help of some TV magic. I think this whole area was like coal mines. So there's quite a few basins along here that are like the remnants of the wharves for the mines.
There was definitely a lot of mining going around along here. A lot of subsidence. A lot of fuel basically for that great big power station below Castleford. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely get the feeling that it probably was a fairly busy stretch for most of its life.
And we don't see too much traffic. I mean, it's October, so as soon as you do see a boat, it's really exciting, although this one was going a little bit fast. I mean, it's not an issue, it's a river, but there's a little bit of chop there. And quite often with rivers as well, you don't get to see much from the water, it's just vegetation and wildlife, which is really lovely. So this is us approaching Lemonroyd Lock, and I find their lock landing here really intimidating because there's so many stairs and levels, and
Yeah.
the boat looks so dwarfed.
It does feel a bit like pulling up to a Cubert or something. Like, you know, the multiple levels make a lot of sense once you realize that this section here does flood quite high sometimes. So the water level can change quite a large amount. So, you know, there are times you'd be pulling up to this lock and you'd be stepping onto what is effectively the middle section of the flight, not the...
Yeah, but it'll feel like the bottom because you won't see what's...
Right, yeah, you'll just be like, oh, there's a puddle beside me. It is... Daunting's not quite the right word, but like you really get a sense of our boat and narrowboats and the cruisers that most people use as sort of leisure boats as being vastly smaller than the hardware is meant for around here. You know, like you see some of the bollards and it's just like,
yeah,
well, that's really not designed for my boat.
I don't know if my rope's long enough to go around that. Oh, and you can see the indicator there that we're just in the green.
Yeah, I love how big the red indicator is.
Yes, do not travel.
Like, there's this tiny little caution space, and there's this very, very low, like 1 inch of this is good, and then there's just don't try.
From memory, I think these locks are about 200 feet long.
It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
And here it comes.
We tend to stay back in the locks because then by the time the water reaches you, the turbulence dampens a little bit. I think you're on the back of the boat here, and I'm at the top operating. Oh, you look so little.
Well, I have shrunk.
I wonder what I meant perseverance. I wonder when these locks were built because the lock keepers' towers look fairly modern.
Oh, well, this was still all in quite constant usage while the power station was alive. So, like, there was, you know, according to our old Nicholson's guide, there were still lighters coming along with coal 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
well, Nicholson's guide's 15 years old now. So.
Well, okay, so 15 years.
So yeah, this is where the problems of the day start because the lock just wouldn't equalise at all. There's some sensor that wasn't sensing that the water was full. So we were dropping the paddles and opening the paddles and couldn't get it to open, and we eventually called the Canal and River Trust, who helpfully told me to wait till it equalised. Okay, we've been waiting.
That's what we've been doing. Because the thing is that it won't even attempt to open unless the sensor has tripped and says that it's equalized, right? Like you can't apply power to the doors with the key that you have as a boater, like a leisure boater. You know, if you go up into the tower, you can force it. And this has happened a bunch of times, like on the Thames and everything. You get to an electric lock, or on the Nene and Peterborough area, you get to an electric lock, and if it allows you to actually power the door, then, you know, yeah, you shouldn't run it when it's not equalized. But when you get to the point where it's really, really close, that little hit will do enough to get it open. But when the sensor just will not allow you to apply power to it at all, we were sitting here and it was equal. Like there was no,
but there was no power going to the gates.
Right, they're exactly the same height. There's no water going in or out. It's perfectly able to open. If I could have cranked it, I'd have been able to crank it. If I'd been able to pull on it, I could pull on it. But you just couldn't get the sensor to trip.
So yeah, after about an hour of trying, the Canal and River Trust turned up, and then he did exactly what we did, which was drop the paddle and open the paddle, and then he went to do the override from the tower, which is where you can't see anyone.
Well, and it's fun because you have to wait multiple minutes for the paddle to go up and down and everything.
And he didn't know where the sensor was either, so...
No, and it's... I swear it can't just be, like, it's got to be something like a toilet float sort of thing somewhere. You know,
so really simple technology.
It's something stupidly simple, but just bunged up. But...
So yeah, this is another cut, and I think there's Lemonroyd Marina here. It says there's an oil terminal here as well. I guess that's out of date now.
Yeah, I don't think there's an operating one. There is still some industrial shipping that happens on this canal, but I can't remember.
So this is Woodersford Lock. And when we got there were so many volunteers tending to the plants. And I don't think I've ever seen such an immaculate lock. Apparently they come out every Wednesday and work, and it was really nice to see, actually. There's all this planting going on and the mown lawn, and just a really nice kind of community activity.
I am now trying to learn how to appreciate gardening as a contact sport or hobby or whatever you want to call it, you can sort of see how they do look nicer when somebody puts some care into deciding where to put the flowers and everything.
Yeah, but I want to grow my own food, not my own flowers.
No, that's the thing. I still can't look at pretty flowers and not be like, waste of space. Not food. Not edible. Bees might find this valuable.
Yeah, that is valuable.
And I do like honey.
And you can eat sunflowers. Not sunflowers, sunflowers.
I suppose, well, logically, most berries were a flower at one point, right? So, kind of weird when you think about it. That means you're eating the sexual bits of a plant.
Yeah, and you just thought of it.
Well, no, I think I first thought about it when I was in elementary school, and somebody explained to me that, wait a minute, you're eating the sexy bits of the plant. And that seems, not exactly dirty, but a little bit on the...
That boat's not going to run out of wood in a while.
You never know. Some people like their boats to be pretty warm.
Really hot. So this one's Fish Pond Lock. Oh, I look to do that one quite quickly. I mean, the time lapse helped. This bridge is called Concrete Bridge. I wonder why.
I suppose it's because it's made out of concrete.
You thought it was made out of steel.
I thought it was made out of steel. I didn't realize it was called Concrete Bridge. Is the next one called Concrete Bridge too?
No, the next one's actually the M1.
Oh, really? Because that should obviously, with the naming scheme, this should be Reinforced Concrete Bridge.
It actually should be called Joe's least favourite road.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I don't know about least favourite road.
It's up there.
I'm trying to remember this trip a little bit better, because the problem was that I was not doing well at this point.
Your mental health. This was a really bad mental health day, which is why there's not many clips. And there was nothing of us talking. So, yeah, you probably don't remember it. So this is, okay, how do you say that word? Nostrop?
Nostrop? Fall Lock? Knostrop? Nostrop. That'd be Nostrop. Fall Lock.
Yeah. So
sounds like a Dutch pancake.
It's nice to arrive as a boat's leaving, but it would have been better to arrive with other boats going the same way to share with.
I'm glad we weren't sharing boats with people.
Boats?
Locks with people. Yeah, I was. This was definitely not one of my better days. And I think I would have been too frustrated with humans.
So approaching all the outskirts of Leeds here.
I like Leeds. It's quite interesting when you get here because it really does go from, it's a huge river and it's obviously been, kept in service for industry and everything. Like, it's not a natural river. But then you start to approach Leeds and it just kind of builds up relatively rapidly. Like, you just don't quite get how... You
don't see the transition from we're in the middle of nowhere to we're in the middle of a city. It just happens.
Yeah, it's just sort of suddenly you're like, whoa! I'm in a big city, and I like the entry to it and everything. Like, a lot of times when you're going into large cities on the canals, you're going through periphery. This, you suddenly are just kind of dead smack in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
It's I find quite a pleasant place to be, and it's very convenient in terms of walking around and kind of getting to everything.
And we actually moored just here below the lock. It was quite funny because the boat coming out, it's a funny lock. There's a small lock and then there's extra floodgates. So the floodgates stay open, but the small lock you can't really see from here. But they left the gates open because they assumed that we were going up, even though they've just got on the boat there and we're clearly mooring up. So as they go past, they were like, "Can you shut the gates?" Yes. Sure.
No problem. I think they probably thought we were stopping for like an extended tea or something.
Or just to let them through, giving them space. So, I was done with good intentions, but then you had to walk up and close the lock gates. It wasn't a problem. Yeah, so that's our short little trip into Leeds.
If you ever get a chance, visit Leeds by boat. You can go into, we've never actually gone into the basin.
We've always tried, but it's always been full.
It's always been full. But if you can get into the basin, that area is quite pleasant. It's a busy city. It's a big, strange city for the UK. Like, it doesn't feel, industrial. It's got lots of traffic and lots of big roads going through it and everything. You get the sense of it being kind of newish development everywhere, but there's places, I guess I'm saying that it kind of feels a bit Milton Keyneish. It's like it's a new city. Well, that's not the wrong, it's not the...
It's like an amalgamation of lots of different city feels.
Yes, where somebody has definitely been thinking about cars as part of the issue, right?
Right.
Like, Birmingham feels like a city upon which somebody went, now we're going to put a bunch of cars on top of it somehow, right? And we're going to...
Oh, I see. That's where the comparison with Milton Keynes is, because it feels like the traffic has been thought through.
Thought through and planned for, right? Like there's large roundabouts, and when you're going from one place to another, there's traffic for pedestrians that is well managed for getting through. You can be walking along an area that is quite busy as a road, especially when I've gone shopping and everything, but it's all fairly well managed, and there's this downtown core that is kind of grids laid out with lots of shopping arcades and things, and then surrounded by these streets that are in use by all the traffic. So there's a big pedestrianized kind of center section, and then there's these large streets that go around it. And it's not as, I'm not trying to compare it to Milton Keynes in terms of it's not like a grid layout, but it's
planned.
Yeah, it's got a sensation of something where the traffic wasn't an afterthought that the city is trying to deal with. I like it. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff to see in a fairly compact core in the central area there, and there's
and there are
financial district and all these Victorian shopping places.
Yeah, there are the historical buildings and the museums and everything.
Yeah, and of course the armory that you're sitting beside if you come in and more up here.
You talk about that a lot in the next video. I'm
sure I do. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this rather less than video trip into Leeds. We didn't get as much footage as we'd usually try to do, but we did get to see a lot of grey skies and murky water.